Get ready to leave the trail behind. We tackle tough winter conditions. Northern Light snowshoes allow adventurers to go anywhere they please. Then the art of augering ice, Strikemaster ice augers, come to life. People are passionate about outdoor equipment. Get this, Americans spend more than $20 billion a year on gear. But no one ever really sees how their stuff gets made.
Well, that's where we come in. Each week, we throw open the factory doors and give you a behind-the-scenes look at how your favorite gear is made.
Made for the outdoors. Life outdoors in snow and cold can sure be tough. Getting around remote areas, even tougher.
I love to travel off the grid come the snowiest, coldest months of the year. But one necessary piece of gear I wouldn't leave home without, right here, a good pair of snowshoes. They've been around forever. Travelers started with wood frames weaved with sinew from animals. Nowadays, these things are pretty high tech, especially when you see how they get made for the outdoors. Welcome to New Richmond, Wisconsin. All this, life in the country, and this is where snowshoes come to life. So this is Jim York, and you are the global proprietor, I'll call it.
One of them, yes.
Of Northern Light Snowshoes. What is this place?
Well, this is where we start the production, and this is where we end.
Jim and his wife Sue own Northern Lights Snowshoes. They build all kinds of snowshoes designed for casual walkers all the way to world-class racers.
I mean, this is a no infrastructure sport. If you can walk, literally, you can snowshoe, and that's the thing that we love about this.
Generations of transformations have changed the DNA of snowshoes. Long ago, people used simple materials found in the wild. Now, engineers develop designs using computers and high-tech raw stock.
We make light snowshoes. I mean, they are lighter than anything on the market, and they last.
Northern Lights' production process starts out in the shop with these rolls of heavy material.
It's a polyurethane over nylon mesh.
Oh, it's more than that.
It's used for airdrop fuel bladders. I mean, when you use it for airdrop fuel bladders, I mean, you're throwing it out of an airplane with a bag of fuel and it bounces. It's pretty puncture resistant. We wanted a snowshoe that would last.
Jim first rolls material onto a press.
It's just a big hydraulic press, and it just punches what we use to punch decks. We use it to punch bindings, suspension straps, snow releases.
He adjusts the press to cut at just the right pressure. 20 tons of pressure punches out individual snowshoe decks.
This is an old machine, but it does its job well.
And when we say handmade, we're talking handmade.
While Jim cuts, across town, workers at Bauer Welding and Metal pull aluminum tubing.
Well, we got the raw stock showing up in big semis, get unloaded by those cranes.
It goes out to the cutting machine. Paul Lodahl loads the tubing.
I just hit this button here. That's it. So what this does is it cuts about 95% of the way through and we snap it off.
Got it. Here, let me try.
I don't know if you can do it.
Just kidding. So once the part's cut, Bill Otto takes over. You're the bender.
Yep. It just goes as soon as I hit the pedal.
The bender follows a computer program that tweaks each snowshoe frame into place.
Literally, you can see the snowshoe coming alive.
Yep. And we always check them.
Bill uses a test plate to make sure each shoe fits to spec. The bender can pop out 110 frames per hour.
So you're just going to grind away all day on these.
Correct.
We're done. We've got our shell. We're out of here.
Up next, stretching and strapping as Northern Lights come to life.
Made for the Outdoors is brought to you by Magnum Research, Otter Outdoors, Ice Castle Fish Houses, Banks Outdoors, and by Walden's.
Snowshoes take people off the trail. Jim and Susan York craft Northern Lights snowshoes in far western Wisconsin. With the snowshoe parts cut and frames bent into shape, the process now moves to a third location. Mike Wingert helps produce all of Northern Lights' smaller parts.
This is our injection molding machine.
The machine turns plastic resin into plastic pieces.
It'll blow in through this conveyor, or through this tube, and feed into the screw.
The machine heats and melts the resin and squirts the liquid plastic into the mold. Every 60 minutes or so,
This is our hourly QC check.
Mike peeks at the parts.
Basically, we're looking at workmanship of the parts and making sure that our process is behaving.
So you have all these parts, and you need to take all the parts and make them one. And that's where Jordan Haley comes in. You are the guy who puts all the pieces of the puzzle together.
That is correct.
First, he adds clips to the deck and then stretches the deck over the snowshoe frame. He puts together the toe cleat and attaches it to the boot binding.
And there you have it.
Then it's a matter of adding a few last parts.
Back through the buckle. Just about finished.
And there you have it.
One completed Tundra Rescue.
Now the snowshoes go back home for the final packaging.
We inspect and clean.
Well, I'm in charge of QC. I think Jim's in charge of shipping and packing. He's a really good taper. What I'm doing is just checking for any fraying from the punch process that we saw earlier. I like to take a soldering iron and just shore that up so it's a nice clean look.
Then you've got a pair of snowshoes. Put them in the bag, put them in the box, send them out for the next adventure.
But not before a little resting time out in the barn.
This is where we keep our inventory and fulfill our orders.
Hundreds of pairs of completed snowshoes sit here, ready to go out the door.
They should all be gone this season.
The extra frames also hang out here. They ship shoes every week, darn near every day. It's the dream of enjoying life outdoors for play and for work.
Yes, it is, and we love it.
There's times when I pinch myself, yeah. It's like, wow, I'm a snowshoe manufacturer. It is pretty cool. It is pretty cool.
Not just snowshoes, but proprietor of Northern Lights.
We just love the outdoors. We love, doing anything associated with the outdoors, so this just made sense.
You can cross-country ski most places that you can go snowshoeing, not every place. And when you're going up and down, steep ravines, or you're in woods, or you're, those kind of things, you can't do that on a pair of cross-country skis. You can with these.
Up next, we jump from life in the snow to life on ice. Strikemaster Augers next.
Made for the Outdoors is brought to you by Topper Easy Lift, Aquarius Home Services, Mulching Mania, Minnesota Trailer Manufacturing, and by Central Boiler.
There is something magical about being out on a frozen lake. When it comes to ice fishing, the question always used to be, how do you get from up here through the ice and down to the fish? Well, as kids, we used steel spuds and we'd beat holes in the ice. I even threw a bunch of these to the bottom of the lake on accident. Trust me, ask my dad. Ice fishing technology has come a long way. Introducing ice augers. Strikemaster offers a bunch of different models. These things are very efficient, very quiet, and very fun, especially when you see how they get made for the outdoors.
Strikemaster ice augers help winter anglers cut through frozen water.
Good.
Purpose is, if you want to go fishing in the winter, you have to get through the ice. So getting through the ice, you have to drill a hole. Strikemaster started in 1946 as a company that sold fishing lures. The father and son team of Bob Foster and his father loved to bowl, and their bowling shoes were named Strikemaster, and they decided to call the start of the company Strikemaster.
Powered augers quickly caught on. So did Strikemaster's reputation. Heck, Jack Lemmon even fired one up in Hollywood's Grumpy Old Men.
The legacy of Strikemaster is the quality of the product. From the blades to the drills to the power heads.
A motor, transmission, handle, throttle, and drill make up a traditional gas-powered auger. The production process starts in Minneapolis, Minnesota, with a big box from over the Atlantic.
The drill units and the blades come from Sweden, Finland.
Nordic nations known for perfecting laser-sharp stainless steel.
We have blades that other companies cannot copy.
While the Strikemaster team unpacks the drills, the team at Rio Plastics gets to work crafting the auger transmission.
So this material is a kind of a unique material because of the fibers that are added into the plastic. So the machine is actually melting the plastic. Then we use an injection unit with pressure to push the plastic into the mold. After that, we use a holding pressure to make the part the size.
Then the transmission parts cool and cure.
So this is a fully molded gearbox for Strikemaster. People that are running it will take the part and actually take and break the gate off on each part. So we just snap them off, and then this will get thrown into the recycling bin.
Workers inspect each part and test them. Then they go to Scott Seibert's area.
What we do is we bring them back into assembly and we machine the surface flat to make sure when these gear cases are assembled, they're smooth and everything's flat, flush, put together, nice and tight.
Heat grinds the upper and lower pieces so they fit together just right.
What we're going to do here is we're going to install one of the bushings into the lower pneumatic cylinder that presses them into place.
Next, come the transmission gears.
Crucial point is making sure you're using metal gears on the inside.
And the clutch.
And then install the snap ring, which will hold the clutch cup in place. It's all done, spin it just to make sure everything is in place, snap ring's in place, and then off to packaging we go.
At the same time, over at Imperial Plastics, they get cracking on Strikemaster auger handles. They use a special DuPont resin to create a tough nylon handle. A worker molds each grip and also puts together the throttle assembly. Now it's time to build the auger. Actually, let's wait a bit while all the parts get shipped back over to Strikemaster. In 2 minutes, we get to work.
Made for the Outdoors is brought to you by Appledorn's Resort. Select Minnesota GMC dealers. Powers Machining Incorporated. And by Minnesota Horse and Hunt Club.
Hey there, I'm Bill Shirk.
And I'm Lindsay Hayes.
If you're a fan of Made for the Outdoors and want to know more about upcoming episodes, be sure to like us on Facebook.
And also follow us on Instagram for cool behind-the-scenes looks at what we're working on.
And you know what? If you've got an idea for a show, be sure to drop us a note.
With Strikemaster auger parts complete, it's time to take the pieces to complete a single unit.
So this is the Strikemaster assembly line where we build all of the Strikemaster ice augers for Europe, United States, and Canada. I'd say it's the biggest name in ice augers.
Adam Steinhilber leads Strikemaster's production line.
Today we're building the Laser Mag Pro ice auger. The first station here, we tune the carburetor to run in cold weather conditions. We also adjust the high speed and low speed jets of the carburetor and attach the throttle linkage to the solo motor.
Ah yes, the solo motor. German-built technology powers Strikemaster's two-stroke augers.
The second position here, we're attached to the upper transmission, the Tough Light handle assembly, our compound gear, which reduces the gear ratio, and the lower transmission. All the plastic parts in this position here are sourced locally from Lakeville, Maple Grove.
Workers pass along the auger.
At the third station here, we're going to attach the throttle linkage to the throttle lever.
A simple process that leads to the most colorful part of Strikemaster's process.
On the fourth station here, we're applying all the decals and stickers on the motor.
Each auger also gets a pull or two to make sure they're ready to fire.
In the station, we also run through a checklist to make sure the motor runs properly right out of the box.
Right after, Jason Culp gets his paws on a few of the augers.
So what we do here is we test the engines. They come off the last step of the production line.
Jason runs and checks to make sure the augers run smoothly. He also makes sure the RPMs are spot on.
My idle RPMs show up on the tach here, and I would record it here.
If the auger passes Jason's tests, each goes into the box and out the doors to store shells. Oh, but that's not the end of Strikemaster's story.
Time for a workout day, right?
Enter the ice season and Bart Rosen.
How are my arms?
The guy with the pipes.
I've gotten a lot stronger over this winter, I can tell you.
Bart and Adam field test Strikemaster augers.
Go through our first production run of samples, make sure that everything's working right.
Today, they fire up the brand new lithium-fired augers.
Hey, we've been doing this for weeks.
They literally fill frozen lakes with holes.
2.5 on each one. We want the good people of the Twin Cities metropolitan area to be able to have one lake they can get on early this year.
thousands and thousands of holes.
Good. We're just going through each individual unit to make sure that everything's performing correctly.
Some individual augers they'll run through the ringer, literally.
You know, really the goal is to try to drill for at least 40 hours, you know, potentially on each unit.
Real-world testing ensures Strikemasters are properly iced and ready to go to customers. Oh, and you might not know these augers get one other use outside of ice fishing.
We have won numerous world record drilling contests with a laser design drill.
Yep, world championships.
We would outperform our competition 2-to-1 using the laser style blade.
Strikemaster ice augers, quite the story and quite the legacy.
In my earliest days, we had a hatchet out on the lake, and and we saved our money for an ice spud, so it'd only take 5 minutes to get a hole.